All right. Hi there. I'm Michael Compatello, and I'm the Associate Professor of Percussion here at Arizona State University. And I'm excited to share today some information about our percussion program with you. If you're watching this, perhaps you're going to audition in person or you're going to do a Zoom or a remote interview. For those of you that are not able to come to campus, and for those of you that are, I'm hoping that this session will answer some of the most frequently asked questions about the studio as well as give you some more information about what life is like here at ASU and sort of what I believe to be the central tenets of our work together as musicians and as percussionists and as humans throughout. Of course, since I can't take questions right now, I hope that you can log the kinds of questions that you might have or comments or concerns, and you can let me know by email what more you'd like to know. So on the one hand, I can incorporate it in future presentations, and on the other hand, I can have more of a dialogue with you about it. So I'm going to share a little bit of material here. Uh, so this is a frequently asked questions sheet throughout. I'm going to refer to two Notion documents that I've generated, and I think I've shared both of them with you in emails about your forthcoming auditions and interviews. One is a page that's about the percussion studio here at ASU, and one is our studio handbook, which is sort of a clearinghouse for a bunch of information for current students, and I found that it's quite helpful for prospective students as well. These QR codes are a handy way to find those resources too, if you can't find the email. So first question, what's the percussion studio at ASU all about? Presumably, if you're watching this, you have some degree of curiosity about Arizona State University. So I invite you on the first to take a look at this video that we made about the percussion studio. I won't make you watch it on a recording of a call, but I think it does a great job of explaining sort of our collaborative environment. The main tenets of our studio are to essentially change the world, to develop community around your artistic practice and your artistic work through the mechanism of studying percussion. And through these practices, I hope that you develop as a human, that your humanity is enriched, your empathy, your cultural empathy, and that your career pathways can be widened and also deepened. In terms of what that means for percussion, we focus a lot on the fundamental skills of learning, particularly the fundamental skills of learning anything, and then secondarily, the fundamental skills of learning percussion, basic things done well. At the same time, the second big pillar of our work together is community music making, making music together, sharing music with one another, and developing skills of musical communication. At the same time, uh, I'm very focused on professional development. What this means is developing ideas of entrepreneurship, developing ideas of skill sets that are going to be vital to you in your career as a musician, and also using techniques like design thinking to help you brainstorm ideas for a forthcoming career, however music fits into that. Like I said, we take individualization and mentorship really seriously here. And so you'll find a percussion studio within a gigantic university and an Institute of Design and the Arts. You'll find a percussion studio that, on the one hand, has the benefits of a large school, and on the other hand, has the benefits of a small liberal arts college. I hope that answers some of your questions, and I'll talk a little bit about my teaching philosophy actually right now. So my teaching philosophy I outline here, and let's see if it loads. Great. Some of this I've described a little bit, but here are my central tenets: excellence in collaborative performance, strong, broad percussive technique, skillful learners, and critical thinkers. Um, this is stuff I believe really firmly in, and it really permeates our work here together. You can sort of see how I've developed an undergrad curriculum for our work together. I find that for first and second year students, um, having a more structured curriculum around scales, around technique class, and regularized meetings has been particularly helpful. And then things broaden as you develop through the program. A little bit about the percussion studio, since this is something that's also asked. Generally, it's between 28 and 35 people, sometimes as many as 40, sometimes as low as something around 25. Usually, we have between 4 and 8 graduate students. We have 4 graduate teaching assistants, and sometimes we have more grad students that are functioning on staff positions or other types of things. Um, the rest are generally undergraduates. The undergraduates tend to be a mix of performance majors, education, which we call music learning and teaching, music therapy. Also, we have a lot of people in the BA, Bachelor of Arts program, which is a kind of different pathway than the BM, the Bachelor of Performance. We have a number of people in the Honors College, which is a big portion of the experience here at ASU. And we have a number of people that are minors. I try to I think of the studio as a rather large tent. So in contrast to conservatories where perhaps having a more diversified undergraduate experience is not something that's a big priority. Here, I find it to be an incredible priority because you have the resources of a really awesome university. So it really behooves you to leave the music building, as nice as the music building is, to take advantage of other opportunities on campus. Facilities, let's talk a little bit about facilities. And this is available on the About ASU Percussion space. We're quite fortunate here at ASU that we have pretty large dedicated rehearsal space for percussion. This is it, WB10. We have kind of secondary teaching space and a number of other percussion practice rooms. I hope you peruse these. There's also 2 offices for graduate teaching students and another practice room in another part of the building. In terms of performance spaces, while I really like getting out in the community and performing in all sorts of different places, there are 3 venues within the music building. There's Katzen Concert Hall, where we have some percussion group concerts as well as solo recitals. There's the Organ Hall, the site of some percussion performances. It's a beautiful space. We have a recital hall where smaller performances, usually senior recitals, are held. And also, I guess there's a 4th space. There's the Evelyn Smith Music Theater, which is a music theater, which is a bigger stage and it's more directly connected to the percussion suite. So we have a lot of performances in there as well. I'm going to update this page. Great. Across the street from the music building is the Gamage Memorial Auditorium, which was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. Within, there's going to be our main orchestral performance place, the Gamage stage. Inside, there are also 2 large rehearsal rooms where a lot of our gear lives and where the bands and orchestras rehearse. We also do performances outside, as you can see. Wonderful. This is an outdoor patio plaza that was constructed during COVID. Here's some other little vistas of the music building. There will be virtual tours during the remote audition day and in-person tours during the in-person audition day. And I've also invited our graduate students to take people around to important sites on campus, i.e. places to eat and places to drink coffee. But here there are some virtual tours as well. Along with facilities, instruments. We're fairly well stocked here with instruments. We're one of the larger instrument inventories in the country. And as such, there doesn't seem to be a lot of many problems in terms of people having what they need. Of course, like any other place, we get strained at certain times, but we're well suited. We're well equipped with keyboard instruments and constantly working to develop our inventory based on the needs of the students, which have fundamentally pivoted or moved in since I've arrived. Let's talk about lessons. We always get questions about how lessons are structured because we have a number of faculty members. We have myself, Simone Mancuso, as well as Matt Prendergast from the Phoenix Symphony, and Robbie Carrillo teaching drum set. And these are all people that you're encouraged to work with during your time here. Students will work with all of the faculty during their time at ASU in a variety of capacities. The study plan, like I wrote, is determined collaboratively between the students and the faculty. For undergraduate students, I really focus on trying to create broad competency and then be able to specialize later in your undergraduate career. That's because people tend to enter ASU fairly unevenly or heterogeneously talented. And so I really want to get people to a fundamental degree of musicianship and percussion playing before we tackle more individualized goals. Usually lessons with the teaching assistants supplements and focuses the work with our percussion faculty, which is a great way to run things. And then in addition to lessons, undergraduates and actually graduates are encouraged to attend our weekly technique class that Matt Prendergast runs, as well as a weekly scales class, which is kind of a musical calisthenics class. These are in supplement to studio class, and we found them to be very valuable. Lessons, I determine a rotation of lessons for people. Typically for graduate students will work primarily with me and supplementarily with the other faculty, depending on repertoire, depending on needs. It doesn't necessarily need to be semester by semester. We split lessons a little bit here. We also do work where somebody might be studying with me, but then take 4 or 5 lessons with somebody else. So it is truly an individualized curriculum, and that can be difficult to organize, but we find that that works pretty well because we're really trying to encourage here at ASU a really broad sense of what it means to be a musician in the 21st century. Let's talk about percussion courses. In terms of performance, you'll have access to lessons, you'll have access to our studio class, a variety of ensembles. Oops. A technique class and a performance class. And in addition to those, I teach percussion repertoire and percussion pedagogy. In terms of musical ensembles, I can kind of direct you over here. In terms of musical ensembles, we're a big school and we have a lot of stuff available. So we have 2 major orchestras and sort of 2 major wind ensembles. In terms of percussion ensemble, we have the Contemporary Percussion Ensemble, which is a chamber music group. We have an African diasporic ensemble, which is a combination of our steel band and our West African drumming and Afro-Cuban drumming groups. We have a Javanese gamelan, we have a Latin marimba band, and within the School of Pop Music downtown, there's a rock band and a variety of other groups that involve drum set. Within the School of Music, we also have access to a mariachi ensemble, a class called Drum Circle that's run by GTAs, a Middle Eastern ensemble that's growing in size. In terms of contemporary music, while the Contemporary Percussion Ensemble, as you might imagine from its name, does contemporary music, we also have the Acme, which is run by Simone, which tends to do more repertoire contemporary music. It's the mixed ensemble. There's also the DBR lab that's run by Daniel Romain, one of our esteemed faculty, in which students work on independent projects and then take them to New York to perform at National Sawdust each year. A lot of our studio members will take part in the jazz groups on campus, be it concert jazz band, Latin band, jazz rep band, or jazz combos. And most of the people studying in drum set lessons with Robbie will take part in a combo. We have a marching band. The marching band is run as a separate entity from the percussion studio, but it's a variable number of people that are both in the studio and the marching band. The marching band's large. We're blessed by having a pretty terrible football team, so it makes the marching band experience a little bit more palatable. On top of the marching band, we have a basketball band and also a hockey band. And I also recommend that a lot of people take part in the choir when they can. There's no better way to work on your pitch than singing. Also within the Herberger Institute for the Design and the Arts, which is where we are on campus, you have easy access to classes in film, dance, theater, pop music, arts and media engineering, which is sort of the techno wing of music. We have access to classes in the business school. You have access to the core humanities, the international language and cultures, earth and space exploration, and all sorts of other places. If you're interested in learning more about ASU and the School of Music, Dance, and Theater, you can take a look at these 2 pages where I laid out some of my favorite things about the School of Music, about ASU. The most important thing I would say about ASU is that we have one of the most transformative missions of any university in the country, and we really action that at all times. In addition to the musical ensembles that are classes, a big part of studying to be a musician is doing independent work. And I hope that from watching the video about the studio, you'll notice that a lot of the people in the percussion studio are doing independent musical ensembles. That could be curricular, meaning it's a chamber music credit, or it could be completely independent, something you organize yourself, or it could be something in between. In terms of the independent projects, I make it a big priority of my work as a mentor to encourage these kind of projects and resource them, because that's the kind of thing that you'll be doing in a professional career. And we have a number of great examples of that within the percussion studio. People generally ask about degree information. It's a good question if you're applying for a degree. The master's is 2 years. It usually involves 2 recitals. We have a performance track and we have a performance pedagogy track. The only difference is that the performance pedagogy track, you will have to do a recital of your students at some point. The master's has a written comprehensive exam. The focus for me of a master's is that it's a practice degree. It's an opportunity to work on your musical muscle. The DMA is 3 years. It's 3 recitals and a project, which could be a dissertation, a recording project. It's a pretty flexible project, and we have people doing all sorts of different kinds of things. And you'll be able to find more information about that here on our DMA comp exam page, where I've assembled some resources about both applying for positions and also the DMA project proposals, timelines, formatting guides, and comprehensive exams, which were a topic of much consternation this year. The DMA here I consider to be quite easy compared to other schools, which leaves a lot of space for developing creative work. Is an individualized research agenda, which I find essential to your development. I try to think of the DMA as, in addition to providing credentials, the DMA is also a fundamental way of, it's an equivalent to a PhD, meaning I want you to leave with a body of work that's going to be your professional portfolio. And we've revised the comp exams here on in our DMA to include a written exam, of course, a job portfolio, and a creative project. And the creative projects really range, and I encourage you to take a look at this. In terms of the bachelor's, we have a number of degrees, but the 2 major ways in which people engage with the percussion studio are the BM, it's a Bachelor in Performance. We also have a BM in Music Learning and Teaching, which is our music education degree. And we have a BM in Music Therapy. And we also have a BA, a Bachelor of Arts, which I recommend to most people because a BA is more akin to a liberal arts degree. And if you're studying at one of the most innovative research universities in the country, you might as well take advantage of that. The BM is a degree where you're spending most of your time in the music school, and the BA replaces some upper level requirements with electives. So I tend to recommend the BA to people regardless of its reputation in the rest of the country. But both of them are wonderful degrees. They're 4 years, and my philosophy is to develop a sense of breadth and a sense of depth, just like 19th century essayist Montaigne described. We've had a lot of guests recently, so many that it made the font pretty small, but I try to make working with guests a significant portion of the experience here at ASU. On the one hand, working with guests is an incredible way to increase the representation and diversity of viewpoints that the students here are exposed to. On the other hand, having guests is an incredible way to develop your percussive network. Arizona is kind of an out-of-the-way place. We're not really on the way anywhere except Mexico and the ocean. So having access to people as part of your professional network is something that's really essential to me. And we're fortunate that because of my own connections, people in the percussion studio engage with a wide body of people that they can add to their professional network. Okay, let's get to brass tacks. Financial aid for undergraduates. You'll essentially have access to 2 types of financial aid. There's financial aid from the university, which we call New American University Scholarships. And we also offer special talent scholarships. These are based on your audition to the School of Music, and they're related to performance and also to need. Scholarships awards vary based on academic record and residency. These 2, so essentially if you're from Arizona and you're paying the in-state tuition and you have good grades, it's essentially free. But we stack the special talent awards with the university scholarship. So if you've applied, you should probably have heard something about university scholarships at this point if you submitted a FAFSA. If not, I would encourage you to be in touch with our admissions officers about ways to fast track that. I'll talk a little bit about timeline later in the presentation. If you're transferring, and that includes people coming to us from the community college system in Maricopa County, or other parts of Arizona, there's some resources for transfer students. I approach transfer students as auditionees. I'm not sure what other studios do, so I tend to award special talent scholarships as on equal par with people that are applying as first-year students. The transfer is a tremendous resource for students in Arizona, and for those of you that are looking to transfer from any school, please know that I think of it as a really important gesture, and it's one that is going to require a lot of care and mentorship. For graduate students, it's more common for us to award graduate teaching assistantships than graduate scholarships on their own, but it is something that we do. Generally speaking, we combine graduate teaching awards with financial aid. So you'll get a graduate teaching assistantship and then some additional scholarship. For fall of 2024, we're anticipating 3 GTA positions being open, although that might change depending on people's graduation plans and depending on funding from the university in general. The GTA awards on campus are mostly 25% assistantships. And what I would say to people that ask is that the money here is worse than many other schools, but the workload is correspondingly much, much lower. Because we have 4 teaching assistantships, the workload is shared among more people. And at the same time, it allows people in the program to take on work outside of the university, which I actually think is a wonderful thing in terms of professional development. It's usually between 6 and 10 hours of work per week. And here are the details of what that looks like. So essentially, this will bring you to 0, and then we offer usually scholarship on top of these GTA awards. In addition to that, HIDA, the Herberger Institute, and the university at large offer research scholarships and grants, which we can talk about on an individual basis. But you can also Google it and see on the music and HIDA websites resources for grants that sort of exist outside of the percussion area or the School of Music. GTA duties, each TA will generally take 2 of these types of positions. We have a class called Drum Circle, which is for non-majors. We have Contemporary Percussion Ensemble, where the GTA will work with me on coaching 1 or more groups and then also sort of assist in the logistics of the group. We have a World Percussion Ensemble, which will now be African Diasporic Ensemble of Steel Band. TAs will work with me on private lessons, either as the instructor of record or in collaboration with another faculty member. And then we have percussion methods. I will tell you a little bit about GTA duties just to put a little bit more specificity to it. Here's a current rundown. In addition to the TA duties that I just outlined, here's some additional information. 4 large areas: teaching, performing, studio admin, and special project support. So here are the TA duties for this year, which you can take a look at. All TAs work with me on moving instruments, assisting with percussion recruiting events, equipment and supply management, special events, communication, and ideation. Big part of the percussion studio here is that we work jointly on special projects. This could be anything from databases of opportunities to community partnerships to studio remodels. And I think it's a big part of the experience that you will be called upon to ideate, to produce, and basically to manage projects, planning, executing, monitoring, and closing projects. In addition to the GTA position, we have a percussion instrument coordinator. This is a paid position that will also be available in 2024. And here are the duties of the percussion instrument coordinator, which is kind of a new position for us in the last year. Okay, what to expect at your audition. For people auditioning live, welcome. You'll perform, you'll sight read, and there'll be a short interview where I'll ask you some questions and give you the opportunity to ask some questions as well. I encourage you to take advantage of the on-campus audition activities, which includes tour of the building, meeting with the director. And for those of you that are coming to on-campus auditions, we'll have an event, a performance by studio members. We'll have an opportunity to hang with the grad students. and we'll have an opportunity for you to speak with undergrads. I've emailed you information about all that, so check your email. That's just good life skill in general. For those of you auditioning on Zoom, I will have reviewed your portfolio and we'll have a discussion of your submitted materials and a short interview where I'll ask you some questions and again give you the opportunity to ask some questions. For those of you doing the remote audition days, there will be Zoom tours, a meeting from our entrepreneurship class, and a meeting with the director of the School of Music. So I hope that you're able to attend those events, and you should have gotten some information about them. I'm really excited to share some of the things that our percussionists have been up to. In fact, I'm happy and looking forward in maybe perhaps a different presentation to share some of the amazing things that percussionists at the School of Music are doing. We've been fortunate to have really wonderful success in all fields, from arts administration to summer festival acceptances to job placement to orchestra auditions to chamber ensembles to fellowships to international scholarships. And I think the percussion studio here is really operating at a level that would surprise you. What qualities am I looking for in prospective students? You would be surprised. I'm looking for people that have a growth mindset, a curiosity about learning, people that are intrinsically motivated, people that are critical thinking or interested in developing the skills of critical thinking, people that are interested in learning not just how things work, but why they work and why you might want to make them work. Essential to being a studio member here is a sense of humility, a sense that you have something that you want to learn. And that involves sort of hearing out your peers and your professors, trying things out. There's also humility about receiving critique. It's very difficult being a percussionist at a university. You have 30 roommates you didn't ask for, and you're constantly beset with opportunities to fight with other people. And so being a good studio member goes hand in hand with becoming a great musician and also a great human. So those are qualities that I tend to look for. I'm not looking for skill at the day of the audition. I am looking for growth potential, which is a fundamentally different thing. So I hope that you don't worry as much about the objective level and especially the comparative level with other people auditioning, but just rest assured that I and the other faculty are thinking about sort of how would you be in position to explode in growth. At the same time, it's our mission to make sure that you end up in a collegiate or graduate situation where you feel both comfortable and also challenged. Comfortable enough to be yourself, challenged enough to grow. So if that place is ASU, that's great. I hope that you end up here in the sun amidst a cactus. But if it's another place, I will tell you and I will help you find the resources and find the place and find your community. In terms of a timeline, mid-March is when you should hear about audition and scholarship decisions. And May is when we hope to inform you. We hope to have everything locked down in terms of admission contracts. Just in terms of other stuff you might want to check out, here on our Percussion Studio Handbook, you'll see some more information about what's going on in the percussion studio. In particular, I encourage you to take a look at our percussion schedule, which is a schedule of like events and performances on campus. Pro tip, there are a lot. You'll see information about our undergraduate percussion classes, including how we're running those. And one of the TAs I forgot to mention will work with me on scales class and technique class. You'll see the syllabi for our percussion courses. You'll see teaching philosophy. You'll see recordings of recent solo recitals, if this page ever loads. I guess it doesn't want to load. Here we go. So you'll see some of the live stream links from some of our recent performances as soloists and in ensembles. You'll see, excuse me, my computer has performance anxiety. You'll see information about our studio Slack, mallet and book requirements, practice room policies, duties of the GTAs, some ideas about lesson policies, jury information. This is a percussion course number list, so you'll see all the courses that are offered in percussion. Information about large ensembles. Some of my tips for taking great lessons. And then on this About the Percussion Studio page, you'll find more information about what's going on here and how to make things tick here at Arizona State. So I hope this presentation was valuable in some way, and I hope and encourage you to be in touch with me. I'd love to put you in touch with other percussion students here at ASU, and I'd love to share some of the stuff that we're doing. I would say that one thing that's difficult about the studio here is that we're able to support people in doing so many different things with their musical careers that it's difficult to talk about this school as having a particular style or particular focus. And the focus is individualization through the study of music. So looking forward to hearing you, looking forward to speaking with you, and enjoy your visit to Arizona or your visit to the Zoom room in which you will visit Arizona. Thanks so much.